Hi friends, welcome to week number 2. This week ends September 1st. Again, as always, remember that the weeks run Thursday to Thursday. We might have some intermediate turn-in dates. I'm going to try to make pretty heavy use of Mondays as our second turn-in date this semester. There'll be weeks when you don't have those, but if you're going to have a second turn-in date, typically it's going to be a Monday. Okay. Alright, so this week, so watch week 2 video, you're doing that right now. Complete popular and scholarly sources. That's a folder down below. I'll walk you through that in just a second. And then I need you to begin the popular and scholarly discussion. We're going to start this discussion this week. We've got a single question this week. I'm going to actually update and add to it over the next 2 weeks, so you guys kind of continue that single discussion over the course of a couple weeks here. Okay? I'll walk you through that in just a second. And then by Thursday, there's a bunch of materials on plagiarism. There's a quiz I want you to complete. And then, of course, the introduction to Essay 1 and writing annotations. Okay, so there's a lot of kind of moving pieces here. It looks like a lot, but it's a lot of small pieces. Okay, so this is one of those times when you're just going to need to sort of like manage your time well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look down here. Popular and scholarly sources. Students love to skip this section because there's no actual work due. There's nothing you have to turn in to show that you completed this. Students who do that tend to regret it as we go into Essay 1. I need you to know this information to really clearly understand the difference between popular, professional, and scholarly sources really well before we can do Essay 1 successfully. Okay? So, please engage with this. Read this, watch this, okay? The How to Read a Scholarly article in particular is super helpful as we move into Essay 1. All right, so that's Monday. Also by Monday is the popular scholarly discussion, okay? I need you to read this it's a press release. It's just like a page or two long. It's not very long at all. And then listen to this podcast. It is about 30 minutes, so just budget some time to listen to it. You can feel free to listen to that while you're driving, working out, whatever. Okay. And then there's a research discussion. I want to go in here real quick so we can take a look at the question. The other thing I want to note here, if you get in here and it says there are no threads in this topic, it simply means no one from your group has posted yet. Their class is broken up into 4 groups. There's about 10 to 12 of you in each group. If this works, I'm going to keep you guys in these groups all semester long. Okay. My hope is that these will be the colleagues that you get to know in this class and that you work with throughout the course of the semester. So, for what that's worth, my hope is that these become people that you work with all semester long. So this week we read this press release from Ohio State. You also listened to this podcast. The podcast talked about the difference between what the press releases claimed and what the research really showed. So as a group, I want you to explain in your own words what the press release got wrong about the scholarly research. So what did they not understand or not explain to a lay reader clearly enough? I want you to write a post with some things the press release didn't get clearly explained, or if you feel like everything you noticed that they screwed up on has already been shared by one of your colleagues, respond to one of their posts, clarifying, adding, criticizing, whatever the things that they noted. Okay, and when I say criticize, I don't mean meanly. I just simply mean you can say, well, I think it's also this, or something of that sort. I want you to be thinking about actual conversing with your colleagues in this group, trying to move towards an understanding of what they misunderstood about the scholarly research. Okay, so I'm not going to do a new discussion post every week. I know some online classes do that. It's not my thing. I'm not 100% in love with them. I think there's a good opportunity for you guys to get to know each other and to answer questions and try to work towards solutions together. If these groups work out, I'm going to try to have you guys do peer review and everything together all semester long. So this hopefully will be sort of 10 students you get to know really well. We're due, I think, 3, maybe 4 research discussions over the course of the semester. Okay, so don't expect this will be an every week thing. I will, however, ask you guys to do a little bit more work on this discussion next week. I'm going to add to your question going into next week, just as a heads up. All right. So that's the work that's due on Monday. Now, for Thursday, we've got the Essay 1 assignment, a quick discussion about plagiarism, and then writing annotations. Okay, so we're going to go through each of these pieces. Actually, I want to come back to Essay 1. Let's go through plagiarism first. So, again, there's a thing here, a link called Did I Plagiarize? There's a cool infographic that sort of talks about all the different kinds of ethical and unethical uses of sources. I'm a really big fan of this piece. So please take a look at this. Please read this again from one of our e-texts. And then there's a plagiarism quiz from Turnitin. We'll use Turnitin in this class. It's mostly so that you guys have access to your reports that you can look at and try to understand what they mean. But they also offer a little tutorial and a quiz. What I want you to do, complete the quiz and then take a screenshot of it and upload that screenshot. Worst case scenario, if you can't figure out how to take a screenshot, I do give you a little tutorial here on how to do it. But if you can't figure out how to do it, grab your cell phone, snap a picture of the completed screen on your computer monitor and upload that. You can just upload images here. Okay, and then there's a place to post optional questions. Okay, so again, this next Thursday. All right. And then writing annotations. Okay, a lot of students learned how to write annotations in high school, and they were told that it was all about taking notes, and that is what I like to think of as the first half of writing annotations. So annotating a text is writing notes. This video talks about how you move from those notes to a written annotation, something you could sort of turn in. It's sort of part summary and part analysis of your piece. Okay, there's a sample here and there's a video. Please watch this. Again, every semester I have a student who's like, they turn in a bunch of notes on their on an article and then are surprised when I hand it back to them. Okay, so please watch this video. And then what you need to do is write an annotation of the scholarly article that you're going to use for Essay 1. So let's get back up and take a look at Essay 1 here. Okay, so I have here, okay, the Essay 1 assignment link, a list of possible topics. This will all make sense in a second. And the essay rubric. So I got a number of comments. I like to see rubric so I know how I'm being graded. This is the rubric I will use for every essay this semester. How it gets applied will vary a little bit, and we'll talk about that as we move towards the grading end of things. But you can see the essay rubric here. What I want to start with today is the assignment. Okay, so there are a couple things I want to point out about all my essay assignments. They're all going to look substantially the same. They will have some basic criteria in the top right-hand corner. I often give some context, and that context is, why am I having you do this assignment? Okay? Then the actual assignment itself, some questions you might think of, additional criteria, those sorts of things. That's what every assignment you get this semester will look like. Okay? The other thing I want to point out is this is not a research essay. Okay? Neither Essay 1 nor Essay 2 is a research essay. They're both analytical pieces that are actually assessing sources that we might use in a research essay. And we will do research essays for Essay 3 and 4, but I'm trying to actually build some skills that you can use when writing those essays. Okay, so context here. We often get told, don't use popular sources in your school papers. You should use scholarly sources. But there's very little discussion as to why, other than that whole notion that scholarly sources are better, okay? And that's true in some ways. In other situations, popular sources are fine, if not better, than scholarly sources, okay? And it's all about context here and what these things are designed to do. So our essay is designed to investigate the difference between popular and scholarly sources in one specific instance, okay? So what do we need to do for this assignment? I want you to choose a popular article that talks about a study. Now, I actually give you guys a list of these. I'm recommending you choose from that list. Okay, if you don't find anything interesting on that list, then we can talk about choosing your own. I'm always willing to let you guys choose your own. You guys own your papers. You can make the decision about what you want to do here. But I do think it takes a little time to find these. And as a result, I'm just going to recommend you use this list of samples. So there's a link right here, and that is linked back in the beginning, the Essay 1 folder as well. Okay. Often news outlets have articles like, new studies suggest 18 glasses of wine a day may prevent heart disease. We see these all the time. We've seen a ton of them with COVID. This is the sort of thing you want, but then you have to find the scholarly study on which that original article is based. Now I have a list of samples here. I'm going to see if I can get this to open. I can't. Perfect. So, let me adjust this a tiny bit. Okay. What I have here are the popular article and then the scholarly study it's based on. So if we were to just look at coffee and life expectancy, for example, you'll get this article about coffee being tied to a lower risk of dying prematurely, and then the scholarly study and you'll see, we can identify this really fast. A large study has found that. And what we're actually going to try to do with this paper is go look at that study and figure out, did the popular article get it right? Did the popular article understand and present that research fairly, completely, adequately? Okay, that's actually going to be our goal here. Then you could click on the scholarly study. It'll take you there. Some of these may require you to log into Prairie State's journals to get access to it. Just go ahead and push through, because we have single sign-on that has become less of a problem. Okay? I will likely continue adding to these as I find articles that make me go, just as I work through my day-to-day life. I tend to add them to this list, and I take stuff off that I'm either tired of reading about or something of that sort. Okay? So, there's that list of samples. I'm going to recommend you use one of those. Okay? Once you have both, I want you to read them, take notes on them. The essay should focus on, and here's the goal of our essay. Okay? We should compare the two and explain whether or not the popular article got it right. My thought process here is, we typically don't read scholarly articles in our day-to-day lives, but we see these newspaper articles or news articles on CNN or on even shared on Twitter all the time, right? All these sorts of articles. New study shows, blah, 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 blah. The question here is, how accurate are those news sources? Do they actually do a good job of telling us what that study did? So the question we want to answer in our paper is, did the popular article get it right? Okay. There are lots of ways we might think about this, and we're going to work on this in our discussion this week. Next week as well. Does the scholarly research show what the popular article actually claims? Very basic. If the popular article claims it extends life or improves X, what degree does it really extend or improve? If it's a percentage, what does that mean in practical terms? A lot of times we'll see something, well, there's a statistically significant change, but it's not a practical change. Okay? Popular articles are necessarily more simplistic and shorter. What does the popular article leave out that was in the scholarly study? What impact does that have? Does it have a negative impact on what I like to think of as the correctness and completeness of the article? In other words, if you cut some of these things out, does the lay reader not understand the findings accurately? Right? Also, if someone were to act on the information in the popular article, let's say we get that article that says 18 glasses of wine a day helps reduce your chances of heart attacks, would they be making the best decision? Okay, would that be the right move? All right, MLA format. I'm not concerned about headings, these sorts of things. I always get a question or two of like, oh, if I put my heading in the upper right-hand corner, is that okay? I'm not worried about it. Page numbers help me as I am reading. Beyond that, everything's tagged with your name and student ID number and anything because it's online, so I'm not super concerned about this. But MLA format of citations, super critical. And we'll work on this throughout the course of the semester. Next week, there's a quick tutorial on how to do that stuff. Okay? Quotation should be cited, paraphrase should be cited. We'll work on that next week. I'm ballparking this at about 3 to 4 pages. That's what I'm going for. I'm not a stickler for length. However, if you give me 2 pages, it's probably going to become up underdeveloped, and that's going to be my concern. Okay? So, that is essay number 1, the assignment. Just as a quick reminder here, let me go back to week 2. 2 turn-in dates, Monday and Thursday. Monday, scholarly and popular articles. Hopefully we'll understand the difference between them. We start that discussion. By Thursday, what I want is the plagiarism materials looked over, the essay 1 assignment. Of course, you want to go through and be ready for it, and then write an annotation of the scholarly article. That's the scholarly piece for essay number 1. Okay? If If you've got any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to let me know.